As I actually got stuck in some traffic, Mr. Smith is not going to be here. I think I just heard that Ellen was in the building somewhere. I'm just waiting on one other city person. Let's go ahead and officially call the meeting to order. And once we get a quorum, then we'll circle back and on the items that we need to vote on. Let's go around the room and introduce ourselves, and then we'll start over in the corner, my left, and then work our way back around with introductions. Tyrone Nelson, board chair, representing the county of Henrico.
Bonnie Ashley, general counsel.
Jim Engel, representing Chesterfield County on the board.
Chesterfield.
Dave Anderson, Chesterfield.
Adam, CEO.
Dexter, Director of IT, GRTC.
Jan Smith, GRTC.
John Dodlin, user.
User. Jessamine, user. Angel Torres, chief of staff, GRTC.
Tom Bird, GRTC.
Tom Thompson, director, GRTC.
Jonathan Zarella, Chief Administrative Officer, GRTC. Ken Lamb, RDA.
RideFinders.
Tim Barr, Chief Creative Operations.
Good morning, Ashley, GRTC.
Joe Dillard, Director of Equitable Innovation and Legislative Policy at GRTC.
All right, good morning, everyone. Henry, public comments.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, board. The public notice meeting agenda and agenda attachments for this September 19th, 2023 standing meeting of the boards of GRTC, RideFinders, were posted on September 5th, 2023 at ridegrtc.com. Per the meeting notice, all written comments received via email or form by me prior to 5 p.m. yesterday were provided to the members of the board the night before the meeting and are read during the public comment period by the staff following 2-minute speaking time. It will be included in the meetings. Also, per meeting notice, this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube. For this meeting, I received 14 public comments in writing. They are from Cindy Liu. I sincerely hope GRTC will continue to be a fair free transportation system. I appreciate the importance of reliable public transportation where it can be accessible by the public and not GRTC buses, incredibly accessible to students and residents of Richmond. These buses can make commuting to campus and the surrounding areas easier for people and offer free transportation, encourages people to take buses instead of their cars, which benefits the environment by reducing carbon emissions. This from Nuria. The sanitation of the seats as well as the bus stops may be improved. It would be preferable if there was an area where people could sit while waiting for the bus. From Miguel, I feel like GRTC can improve with the cleanliness. It's not bad, but the marks on the seats is kind of a germaphobe's worst nightmare. And one last thing, hand sanitizer on the bus would be clutch. From Talal, what I don't like the most is waiting time. Sometimes you miss the bus and then you see the next bus is coming in 25 minutes, so you have to wait or walk. From Kara, I rode the GRTC bus the other day and I noticed there wasn't any security cameras, especially at the back of the bus. I think this would be helpful, especially making people feel more protected and safe. From Queenie, hello GRTC board, my name is Queenie and I'm a young woman who is new to the city of Richmond. I rode the GRTC twice, once with my friends and once in my class with Henry, who works for GRTC, and he was great. It says that. It says he was great. The major point of my comment, cleanliness, safety, and recuperation are working have the potential to significantly improve the GRTC. Despite only taking the bus twice, I've seen a lot of things that should be improved, beginning with sanitation. Sanitation can be a game changer because it reduces the spread of germs and pathogens by providing clean seating and other surface on the bus. Second, when I first used the bus, I had to wait at the stop with my friends, which was a very uncomfortable experience because men were staring at us in strange ways, even on the bus. Perhaps adding a camera or a device that alerts if a person is in danger, such of incidents as harassment, would be ideal. Finally, the recovery of bus stops. Some of the GRTC bus stop waits are basically sidewalks with no protection whatsoever, which is quite frightening because people are not shielded from the weather such as rain. As stated, if you guys took these 3 things into consideration, I'm confident that GRTC would be in much better shape and that people would consider utilizing transit more frequently. Thank you, Henry and the GRTC board. I'm sorry. The GRTC bus tracking app needs to be updated. Also, it would be great to get late night updates on buses that are no longer in service. From Wyatt. A plan to have buses and shelters at bus stops is very important. Something I had experienced while at the sheltered bus stop was that it felt much hotter within the confines of the stop than it did out. Maybe making the stops lighter colored would result in less heat absorption. From Ryan, I would like to see better sanitation on the buses. These buses with upholstered seats look disgusting, and it makes me question how well the buses are cleaned. I would also like to see a higher frequency of buses, so if I miss, I would only have to wait like 5 minutes instead of 15. From Dion Mahmood. GRTC is the perfect way to travel around from from DCU as a student. We definitely need to keep this service free because it benefits a lot of people. The walks to a lot of places have been minimized because of the convenience of GRTC. The one thing GRT could use is more developed stops and pickup locations. The drop-off stops were kind of random, but if those could be arranged in a better way, it would be awesome. Overall, it is very convenient and I enjoyed using the service. From David. My name is David Radel Bello. I'm first year at DCU. I just recently rode the GRTC and I have some pros and cons. I enjoyed how on time the bus was. If it said one was arriving at 4, it would be on time. If there are any casualties that affect the bus schedule, it will send you a reminder telling you how late it will be. One thing I don't like is how frequent the bus comes. Some buses come once an hour, and if you miss it, you're an hour behind your schedule. There's still a lot of good things that come from GRTC, but there is room for improvement. From Dale, these are from our transit, I believe. I catch the 2B, I also catch the 5. The only problem I have is I'm vision impaired. Sometimes they will have the thing at the top on, but they don't have the voice on. I need a voice on because it's dark at night when I get off the bus. I see it's up there, but I need to hear the voice to let me know that when my stop is coming up. This is the only concern I got. They need to have somebody that keeps the voice things on to help the visually impaired. And then from Felix, I usually take the 4A, 4B, Pulse, and 19. It would be really good if we had a Pulse system that went out to Midlothian. It would help give me a lot more access to doctor's offices and dentists, and I'd like to be able to go to my friend's business, La Sembrosita Bakery, and support him because he's a good friend. I've known him for 20 years. They have good products. With that subtle plug snuck into the meeting notes, I yield my time back to the board. Thank you.
So what'd you do to get all those comments this month?
So I've done 2 things. We previously had just kind of put the public meeting notes up as like you can email me or Ashley. I introduced a new form just in case people wanted something that didn't involve email, and that got us 6 or 12 responses actually to the form. Also, 3 of them are from I went and talked to a VC freshman class last week. That's the shout out to me by name, and a couple of them had some comments that I encouraged to pass along. But for the most part, it was just access, and the form did help a little bit. We tweeted yesterday to encourage people to share their thoughts in the last moment, and actually drove a few remarks that I was expecting. Last also tweeted to encourage public comment. It did not get anything. So yeah, just trying to make people more aware that there is a submission.
All right, well, thank you, sir. And we appreciate it, yes.
Quick question, given the voice and light comment that was made by one of the riders, could someone from staff share what the policy or procedure is for voice on and off and whether there's difference time of day or anything? I'm pretty ignorant of that.
Thanks, we can speak to that. Should be on all the time.
Should be one all the time.
That's what I was wondering.
So one of the things we're adding during the process of is our Clever Vision system. So we're right now doing clusters the red thing that just shows across. We're adding a display monitor that has more content. So it actually has the stops that scroll through as the bus moves. Also has ad content that we're in there and announcements. So it actually announce. So our marketing team is going to work putting announcements in there, upcoming stops and just other things. That's a new project that actually pretty much should be seen.
Big question was the expectation that they're always on, because if they're always on, there's not a chance of things not being on.
That's correct. That's correct. So if it's not one, then maybe there's an issue with
Okay.
that on that particular bus. So we just need to have the operators document it so that our IT department can look into it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Unfortunately, colleagues, we won't have a quorum today. I think Mr. Sanders let us know that he wasn't going to be here, and I just got a text from Andreas saying, "Good morning, I'm in Europe for my honeymoon." So clearly he won't be here either. So we won't be able to vote on anything. Everything will have to roll over. Everything will have to roll over that needs to be voted on, but just for information's sake, let's just continue to go through the meeting and hear what we need to hear, and we can vote on the things that we need to vote on at some other point. All right. We did have a consent agenda. Did anyone have any questions about the consent agenda? All right, hearing none, then that'll just be something that we can vote on at the next
Is there
meeting.
anything in the consent agenda that was time sensitive that we need to try to find a way to?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Title 680, since we. No, it's just informational since Thursday. Okay, so.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, good job. Good catch, Jim. Thank you. Yep. All right, what is next? Office space utilization. Oh, no, that's the consent agenda item. Updated list of recent and upcoming procurement.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Procurement's report can be found on pages 20 and 21 of your board packet this month. There were 2 procurements approved by the board chair meeting of the months of August and September. There's 2 board meetings. The first, approved on August 28th, was a change order in the amount of $89,900 to have Via Mobility provide microtransit scheduling software implementation services. The second approval on August 30th was another change order to have STV Incorporated provide a conceptual paving plan and provide required documentation for the State Historic Preservation Office, or SHPO. The total cost of this change order is $27,153. There are no new projects to share with you this month. So if there are no questions, this concludes my report.
Questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna follow the staff reports as they're listed. So if you guys can just go up one after the other, and we don't have to keep on scrolling back and forward on the iPad. We can just keep going. So Mr. Barham, Mr. Byrd, then Ms. Robinson, then Mr. Zenzarella, and Mr. Carter, then Ms. Carter. If we can go in that order, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. The operations and staffing report you'll find on page 22 of the board packet. Overall, we had pretty fair month. One thing I do want to point out, for the scheduled trips operated, we reached over the 99th percentile, which is the first time in a while that we actually operated over 99% of our trips. And that's mainly due to our operator staffing. We actually finished the month with 265 full-time, 27 part-time operators, which was 1 part-time operator short from being fully staffed as far as the current booking goes. We still have a target of 300 operators, but because of that and the tremendous work we've been doing the last few months, we really have improved on our service overall. So you see that in that particular stat. Otherwise, I do want to make a note that we did change to another scheduling software package with VIA. We went from Round Match to VIA by the middle of August. That's why you don't see a report from specialized transportation, because we're still working out and consolidating those reports, because Round Trip and VIA, 2 different operating softwares, we have to merge those together and do it in a manual process. So we're still working to get that complete. So that's why we don't have any specialized transportation information at this point. We did lose a few operators last month, 3 full-time and 2 part-time operators. But as of today, we're at 278 full-time operators, still 27 part-time. So those numbers continue to go up. We have 75 operators in various stages of training. 8 that started yesterday. And we are currently hiring for the next class, which will start sometime in mid-October. So we're still rolling along. And any questions, that's all I have.
So right now, September 19th, we have 278.
Full-time operators, yes, sir. And 27 part-time, which is a 291.5 full-time equivalent.
Good close.
And the 278 are not including training folks.
No, we have a separate group of 75 trainees.
What's going on this morning? I mean, they were directing, I saw something about training.
Well, because of that many people in training, and they come at various stages of the day, but we have quite a few that come in that are still in classroom training, which means that their hours are basically 8 to 4:30. So we have to have a segment of our new hires actually park over next door so that we have enough space for visitors, guests, employees, and so forth. So we had to do that to make sure we had enough space, parking spaces.
So,
A good problem, I should say.
It's a good problem to have, yeah.
so we're gonna be well over 300.
Yes, we're on target to reach that 300 mark by Thanksgiving.
I know, but then,
Well, the reason why we're tapering off, because we had classes every 2 weeks or twice a month, we are scaling back. Now, we don't expect to graduate all those people. Our graduation rate has been about 75, 78%. So about roughly a little over 3 out of every 4 that come through graduate.
But we also have to anticipate people retiring. We have some
Yeah,
senior
yeah, yeah.
Yes, and through normal attrition, we lose about 3 to 4 people per month. I keep track of that. If we reach over 2% of our retention each month, that's kind of a red flag to me. We did reach under that this past month. So we do have to count and make sure that we have more people coming in and leaving.
any other questions?
Better news than it was at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. All right, thank you, sir.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Here for the maintenance report that's found on page 26 of the board packet. Last month, it was brought to my attention that on October 22, numbers did not look correct. So I did go back and look at them and make the adjustments because it was. As far as update today, as of today, we have 2 techs short. 2 mechanics decided to change their careers and move on to different sources of income. That ends the maintenance report. Do you have any questions?
How many mechanics do you have? 50, okay. So 2 out of 53, that's still pretty.
Yes, sir.
Do you feel the impact at all?
No.
Okay. Wow. Any questions?
Who, you maintain the buses, who cleans the buses?
Maintenance department. We have a private contractor comes in and sanitize and clean buses at night. So every night.
No, I know we got more comments this time than normal, but there was some.
I took notes on that and I will address that. I get downstairs.
And we also have cleaners during the day, part-time cleaners that also do some cleaning, but the majority of the cleaning is done at night when all the buses are gone. We do clean throughout.
Thank you.
Does the transfer station impact you at all?
Somewhat, yes, we have stretched some of our employees that clean the bus stops and the RT platforms. They have been going over to do the transfer station also. So we do have plans to maybe hire new employees for that also.
All right, well, no other questions. Thank you, sir.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Tricia. So I'll be doing a monthly ridership report. Just very briefly, looking at year to date compared to last year. Overall, we are up about 7%, looking at more or less the first quarter. Looking at local fixed route continues to excel, where we are year to date, about 10% over where we were last time this time. Express route, interestingly, is down. We are continuing to investigate that, but it's down about 13%. But overall, compared to August last year, we are up for fixed route about 8%.
So I know we said we're going to investigate it, but any preliminary thoughts about the express route? Isn't that the one you said down 13%?
Yeah, express routes are. I have to touch the team, but I would say just the summer months, July and August. We will see something different. September.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Any questions?
Now that VCU is back, has Pulse ridership increased?
Looking at this, Pulse ridership has continued to increase. We're not where we were, of course, pre-pandemic, just different. VCU is different with hybrid and in general, but we are higher with showing here about 4%.
Thank you.
Morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. On page 30 in the financial pack, in the board package, you'll see the July 2023 financial report. I'm going to speak off of slide 31, which is the highlights. This is obviously the first month of the fiscal year, so not a lot of data points, but as we close the month of July, revenues were slightly unfavorable, about $158,000, and that was due to in the federal funds revenue aspect. The items that are budgeted there were ARPA reimbursements as well as PM's 5307 flex spending was lower than budget a little bit, driving that. On the operating expense side, it was favorable $510,000, a budget of $6.3 million. And as Tim gives you the headcount operators, when you look at the tables in here, I'm not doing it on FTEs, I'm doing it on actual heads, including the training. So at the end of the month of July, operations were favorable by about 4 positions. So therefore, we didn't see a huge labor variance. Labor variance was about $201,000 in transportation and admin combined. As also we had favorable services, just some of the timing of projects. All in all, for the month of July, ended up with a surplus of about $106,000. Balance sheet cash flow still strong. Cash position about $14.5 million, of which $10.3 million is in the operating accounts. So I'll draw a conclusion of not a lot to talk about. It's just 1 month. Everything, no surprises. I think the budget's still the variables we put in the budget are still valid.
Any questions? Yes, question right here, John.
Resolving the federal fund split with PAT.
Question.
We've gone through the PPO, sorry, thank you. They had calculated a split for it, a formula. We concur with it. Petersburg does not. Petersburg provided an alternate view of the universe, which is using variables we don't agree with. We stand with what the PPO have done, and we haven't heard anything back. We responded saying we don't agree.
We're going to try and get another.
We'll just will not agree with the numbers.
Yeah, okay, so that's sort of where we've been for a while. Okay.
Jim, do you want to say anything? You have any committee stuff to say? Well,
We did not meet.
okay, all right. Yes, we did not meet. Okay, thank you, sir. Safety and rider comments.
So both Tony Carter and Monica Carter are at a safety conference, I think in Florida. So neither one of them are here. So I will speak to their report. Safety report starts on page 52, and if you look, there was an increase in crashes for the month compared to July 28th, they had 35, and that was mainly because of the fixed object increase and an increase in bus hitting parked vehicles, and that's just a matter of growing pains with a lot of new operators, so nothing there. And then regarding the rider comments, again, there wasn't there. And this month, last month, it was passengers. This month it was really operators. That was a substantial increase. Operators, giving customer service, as well as unless there are any questions.
What does the customer service training part look like? I would assume that
So
we
there,
want to focus on, customer service with our new operators being, and we have, what does that training module look like?
so there's a segment where it comprises of not only videos, but some role playing in that they focus on through their training, as well as any refresher training that they need to get. So we do have several different videos that we go through.
Okay, questions? All right, thank you.
Chair,
Question.
as I read the rider comments and I see these, the jump and passengers and so forth. In most of these cases, we see good graphs where basically we can understand trends and things like that. But when it comes to this, looking at it in isolation, I see 37 and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Because all I have to relate it to is the 4 and 6 elsewhere on the chart. And I wonder if there's a way we can, I'm not looking to complicate things, but if there could be us next to these, maybe an average, so we can understand whether there's an anomaly going on here, whether they're just so we can say, okay, 37 seems high, seems bad, but the average is 35. And then we can start to say, well, should there be 35? Right now, it's sort of in a vacuum, and I have no idea whether or not that's troubling or whether that's the industry. Does that make sense?
It does make perfect sense.
So that might help if going forward, we're able to look at averages on this in particular, because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we interact with the community.
Yep.
It's these people.
Yeah, we can come up with some graphics, some graphs.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
It's always so.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we are, so finance didn't meet were there any other committee meetings this past month that we need to hear about?
We did not, just because we were coming off of the board
Right.
retreat.
All right. So next we need to, Chief Executive Officer's report. Sure, do you have anything in open session? Because we do need to move to a closed session, executive session, whatever you call it.
Yes, I do have a couple things before we go. One is reminder that the annual shareholders meeting will be on October 18th at 10 a.m. And that means that our October board meeting will be delayed by 1 week. So that's on October 24th. Janice has sent out invitations, so it should be on your calendar. Just to remind you that will be a week later. Employee of the month. So I'm happy to report our September employee of the month, and one of them actually made it to the meeting. Operator Daryl Miller is one of our September. 22 years he's been here. And the other two are actually administrative employees. Monica Carter, who does our customer service, was nominated and selected, as well as one of our maintenance foremen, George Williams. So we want to congratulate them on that.
So who selects the employee of the month?
So the peers will nominate them, and then there's a committee that go through, and based on all the nominations for the month, will select.
Great, congratulations,
Yes.
sir. Thank you for what you do.
Thanks. Absolutely. The only other thing is, of course, we're monitoring a potential government shutdown. So far, there are no impacts on that, but we'll continue to monitor that. And other than that, we'll go into closed session just
We don't have.
You don't have a quorum to take the action necessary to go.
Well, it wasn't action, it was
You're taking
information.
action in the.
No, you have to
Oh, really?
adopt
to
the
actually
closed
have-
meeting motion, and that
Wow,
requires.
okay.
Yes, Bonnie, this is why you're
You're
here.
here, that's right, yes.
So,
Okay.
so the particular update,
Mhm.
can it wait a month?
Yes. Yeah, it was, so just so you all know, we entered into contract negotiations with the union last Friday and yesterday. And I think we have a tentative agreement. Just wanted to update you on something.
So we'll talk about the particulars
Yes.
next time we meet, I guess. Yeah, you or Adrian want to talk about the downtown transfer station opening? How's that going? That exciting day?
It is, that grand opening was a success and everything is going really well down there. Adrian and I went down a couple of days later after it's open just to see how things were going, and people are getting where they need to go. We are maintaining it very well, and nothing negative to really say about it. Really looks good down there, and people like it. We've gotten positive feedback from it.
So what's the core building? What's the core building's name? Councilman.
John Marshall?
John Marshall Core Building, yeah. So it used to be, I think that was a John Marshall Core Building parking lot, right? Right. So if you haven't gone, go check it out. I mean, it's a pretty cool looking setup. Yeah. So the drivers, they just have to know how to make those turns into and get out of there. But once they get that knocked down, I like what I saw, so I'm excited about it.
So I have one other thing. So during our board retreat, you all tasked us with coming back with a different version of the vision statement. So we have one that we want you all to, I don't have it though. Who has it? Yes, it was on my list and I still didn't write it down.
And we don't need to meet again before October. I mean, it doesn't seem like any of the business that we couldn't vote on. We need to, I mean, it sounds like everything is good to hold until we come back together.
Does this meeting even count as?
It does, because
Okay, good.
you have enough board members present that you're having a public meeting. You just can't take any action.
Could we even have another meeting without a quorum? We couldn't schedule another meeting, could we? Or can we?
Well, the chair can call a special meeting at
Okay.
any time.
Gotcha.
Okay. So if you all recall, our vision was rather lengthy, so we have shortened it. It's a kind of a play on words. The transportation system that seamlessly connects the vibrant Richmond region. I can send this to you all, but you know how it's the Ohio State University, the transportation system that seamlessly connects the vibrant Richmond region. Don't need action, just wanted to inform you. And
Yeah,
we'll
can you
send it
just,
out. Yeah,
can you
we'll
send
email.
that to us so we can sit with it?
Yes, I agree.
I'll add, it was just that the feedback was that if we were successful in the future, we would have already coordinated the jurisdictions on economic development. We would now have realized a vibrant community. So we are that transportation system in that new revitalized, vibrant.
Sounds good. Any other comments, questions, concerns? All right, meeting adjourned.